24?
Episode 24.
That's great.
Dude, I appreciate you just being willing to come whenever we want you to come.
I appreciate you guys wanting me to be here.
Yeah, dude, I'm just like in my laid back mode today.
Hey, that's okay.
You know,
It's okay.
I'm dealing with some things in my life, and I'm sure you've got, dealing with breakups and, everything like that, relationships, the ending of things and the morning of it, and just trying to get back to you.
Right. That's difficult because you don't know what that looks like, in the moment. One day you might feel like you're okay.
Yeah.
And the next day you may feel like, hey, I need to go to Japan or something. You never know. But I think the biggest thing to remember through that whole process is that it's okay to feel how you feel.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to feel how you feel. You gotta, validate yourself sometimes. Like, hey, I don't feel great, but this is one day out of many days, and I'm gonna take a day.
Yeah.
Feel how I feel, and then I'm gonna process it, and then I'm gonna get out of it.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah. Process it, take what you need to, and some of the stuff, I think sometimes we have to give not only others but ourselves the benefit of the doubt, because we can be very detrimental to the inner person, right? Like very, neglectful. So sometimes when you say those negative things about yourself, you got to flip it on the other side and be like, hey, I'm not always in this mood. So, just be, I see this thing all the time. Just be kind to you.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of country music in my life.
Yeah. Be kind to you, man.
Right. So what's going on with you, man? What's happening since the last time we talked to you?
Just, just getting caught up on a lot of stuff. Planning with this, reaching out to Weston.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys to see how I can launch.
Tell me how frustrated you are with your home search. Tell me how frustrated you are. I love that y'all are over there renting from me, but you gotta be, you gotta be like, dude, where's these houses at?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it seems like it's so sporadic, but I think there's a lot of people just like us in our position that are on there, refresh. It pops up and it's already got 1,003 views, 56 saves, and you're like, it's been on here an hour, so like sometimes we don't get it, but I know that with the warmer weather, it's going to come a lot more listings.
Definitely.
And so we're just trying to.
How do you feel? Like our last interaction was like, hey man, we want to see this house, and I was like, bro, don't even waste your time. Like, I've already been in there. How does that make you feel? Like, do you feel like if you were insistent on going into a house, I'm going to open the door.
Right.
But like, I've already been to that place. I know the rooms are small. I know the price is too inflated. I know it's in a bad location. When I tell you this stuff, you're like, bet I don't need to see it. Or are you like, well, I want to see it. I still want to see it.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I get both reactions.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you tell me that, I'm like, okay, yeah. Why go?
Yeah.
And then other times I'm like, I don't know. I still kind of got a feel for it.
Right.
Kind of like the situation with the house in Dublin.
Yeah.
You were like, look, dude.
I just wanted to get you a better deal out
there. Yeah, and that was different.
That was for you. I just was like, man, they've been on for so long, and, I just felt like we could kept peeling away. But at the same time, that really worked out for you.
It did. It was a blessing.
And I want to replicate that.
Right.
I want to replicate that. That's really important to me for you, is that you were blessed with that type of gain, and you're kind of like reapproaching this thing with your partner now, and like, you guys want to have it together, and it's y'all's and not just yours. And I totally get that.
Yeah,
totally
and
get that.
And making those compromises to where whatever we are going to step into is a 50-50 of what we both kind of want.
Yeah.
And, just going after it and taking care of things in the meantime to set us up, to be aggressive on paper.
Yeah.
I think that's important too. And keeping an eye out because, like I said, every day I'm on there, just looking, checking some of the emails you give me. And it looks a little sparse right now, but I know It can change at any moment.
It can change at any moment, and you
Yeah.
just got to be ready to drop, stop, and roll.
Yeah.
When that happens.
Yeah.
It's the wildest thing I've seen, bro.
It is. I have not seen in a few years. I have not seen the market kind of like this. Like you'll have like 5 houses you'll look at in the area. Let's say Christiansburg, the listings right now, and the top 5, maybe one of them would, in my opinion, would be a contender. Now the other ones may suit some other person completely fine, but
they're all getting bought.
They're all getting bought, right?
There's no question about that. I mean, when the 2-bedroom townhouses are 24 months ago was selling for $175, and now they're selling for $225.
Right.
It's nuts.
It's crazy, yeah. And the people are going to get. They're going to get that, And talking to you, talking to different people, I think this can last for a little while.
Yeah, I do too, and that's just unfortunate because it's just like how inflated is it going to be?
Right.
Like, and these rates are kind of coming up too. So it's just interesting. I just like your perspective on how you're feeling. The great thing about you is you're always going to get that preferred VA rate.
Right.
If you do your VA loan, you take advantage of the sacrifices you've made in your life, you're going to get that preferred rate. So that's not what a lot of people are going to be dealing with. They're going to have to be putting 20% down, and they're going to have to go to the prevailing rate,
right?
And they're not going to get that preferential treatment where they can just shop for the payment they want and get the house with their signature.
That's true.
So you're in a very blessed situation.
Yeah, I truly am thankful for that, because that's a hurdle that I'm not going to have to face.
Yeah.
Because I know for a lot of people that's a big expense out front.
Yeah.
$200,000 house, 20%, $20,000.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of people may not have that on hand, or if they do, they'd rather not just dump it into the home right off bat.
Well, there's opportunity cost. Look,
right.
You got to have security blankets in life, and you got to be able to invest your money in certain ways.
Right.
So you get all that equity from Dublin, and you get to put that back and take a real clear look at every emerging thing that's coming into your life.
Right.
And make good decisions.
And it's put us in a good position, and also just being able to have that safety net a little bit, and then looking for the next investment.
Yeah.
Because I saw this guy on Instagram, and he was talking about the investment that people are taking right now with renting Airbnbs.
Oh man, I got a guy that's gobbling up all kinds of properties from Tennessee to West Virginia, and just doing that Airbnb stuff.
Right.
Crushing it.
And I wanted to talk to you about that, because I wanted to see how true that was.
Yeah,
because there's a girl that's making like $8,000 a month off of 2 of her properties.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how that process worked. I didn't know if people are still trying to go after multifamily homes, maybe like a duplex, a side-by-side. Yeah. Are they living in one and renting the other, or are they renting both sides out?
There's some of that going on.
Yeah.
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 But, in these vacation spots, though, there's some places in West Virginia that is in like the national forest, and this guy just keeps picking off these really cheap homes, does a little renovation here or there, and just get. I mean, it's just people are just flocking to this area for some reason.
Yeah,
and it's just wild to see it. I'm keeping up with him, and he's checking in with me and asking me questions and stuff. Because I'm kind of his consultant, even though I don't sell in those areas.
Right.
But he kind of goes off on his own and leans on me for advice, which I love. Right. I love anybody anywhere can message me for anything real estate related. I love giving my opinion.
Right. Finding your place, right? Yeah. So with this guy, is he more leaning on you for the legalities part?
Well,
to find out what he can and cannot do?
Yeah, he was asking me the certain type of forms he might need and what to look out for. And, he had a buyer, like he's trading. So he's like, sometimes he'll buy them and sometimes he'll sell them when he thinks there's an opportunity.
Okay.
And sometimes people are buying things right now sight unseen.
Really?
Yeah, and there's especially when a real estate person's involved, you need to disclose that the buyer's buying it sight unseen. especially if you're a real estate agent. But it's a good practice that a seller, if you're selling it to a buyer, you need to have them sign sight unseen paperwork if they've never been there.
Because that could be a lot of.
I mean, you could sell something to somebody and they could just give you such a hard time after they actually take possession of the property if they've never seen it. So it's a protection measure for the seller if a buyer's willing to have that faith to sign off on a deal without seeing the property.
Without seeing it, okay.
And that's happening. That's happening at a large way right now.
Is that because of the demand for housing and the limited supply
and COVID and people and population migration? You know, I've got clients from Nebraska and Wisconsin and Iowa right now, VA people that are relocating into the general New River Valley area that are literally going through FaceTime with me. And that's really still sight unseen. If you're not physically there, I'm calling that sight unseen.
Right. What's bringing them to this area?
I really couldn't tell you other than there's maybe some military transfers going on.
Right.
And, you know, because the arsenal drives a lot of stuff.
Right.
And, but I do just feel like people are targeting Southwest Virginia because of quality of life. You know, I feel like there's something there. And I've got a lot of California calls too.
A lot of California calls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even think that, you know, we'd be on the map.
You don't. I feel like
to someone like that.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a dark hole sometimes.
Right.
You know? And like the goal of what I'm trying to do here with the people I'm trying to do it with is to uncover that and shed light on our area.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I do have that same mindset from back in the day. Like, this is nowhere.
Right.
This is nowhere. No one knows. Like, when we go on vacation, we say we're from Blacksburg, Virginia. They're like, where?
Until you say Virginia Tech.
And it's only because of tragedy that most of the people know about us. It's not because of the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Right.
You know?
It's
not because of the football team.
Unless they connect the team to a specific player or the coach, or you know what I'm saying, something like that. But
I mean, a lot of people, as popular as Michael Vick was,
right,
he's still, like, the general population doesn't really care, from what I've observed, about college football. Like, general people, working people, like, if you go to California, you went to San Diego, California, and you said Virginia Tech or Michael Vick or Hokies, they don't know who those people are.
You think they're going to associate him like more with like the Falcons?
I think they would probably associate him more well known with his unfortunate with his indiscretions in the world. Other than his,
that's crazy though, because he's on
I love
podcast.
Him. He's trying to make an impact.
I mean, he's doing great.
Yeah.
And if you look at how articulate he is in his shows and the things that he does, like, he's very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And I think, like, another question I was going to ask you, just kind of off topic, was I've been researching these people that are wholesaling and cold calling and hey, I can show you how to net $50,000 off of a property with no cash and this and that. There's got to be some type of loophole. There has to be some type of downside to that, right?
Well, it's all right. So there's two thoughts there. It's a deal's a deal.
Yeah.
Or is it fair? Because, like, if I came to you and said, what do you take for this place?
Yeah.
Especially being a real estate agent, if you said, well, I'll take $250, but I know in my mind it's worth $325.
Yeah.
And I go and I say, all right, Derek, I'm going to buy that for $250. And then I go to Weston and say, Weston, hey, I got a good deal at $325. See how the ethics there, like, my code of ethics as a real estate person doesn't allow me to do deals like that. And generally, if it's worth $325, I want to tell you it's worth $325, and I want you to take the profit and me earn a commission.
I got you.
So the wholesaling thing, you know, there's a moral code there that I don't like to cross. And but if it's convenience, hey, Scott, man, I don't want to deal with nobody. I want you to do it. You can make whatever. This is the money I need. And I understand it could be worth more. Or, you know, in my role, if I was me, I would be like, hey, it's worth more. Right. You understand it's worth more? Right. And you say, I don't care what it's worth. This is what I need. And right. I want it as quickly as you can get it. Then I got the green light to try to run some money up. But again, I just don't like to practice that wholesaling thing. You know,
Right.
It's a very predatory practice on most.
See,
They're not even aware of what their actual property's worth, and they're getting into a deal with somebody that knows the game and is going to go take advantage of them when they should have been making the money.
I got you.
You know,
Are there people in this area that are taking advantage of that?
there's people out there every day, everywhere that do those deals.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're making pretty significant profit off of.
Well, I mean, if they can get into a contract with somebody and then go over here and assign that contract to somebody else,
Yeah.
and get $5,000 for just putting those two together.
So that'd be like me. Weston has a house, like you said. I go to him, then I come to you. I'm like, hey, I'll put you on this deal. So at that point, who would you be? You'd be the buyer?
I would be the buyer at that point. If you were brokering the deal,
Right.
you talked to Weston and you had that relationship, and you and him agreed on things, and then you come to assign me the contract
Right.
at the price you marked it up to, then you would get the difference.
So what's the paperwork look like for that? Because there has to be
tricky.
some type of, yeah,
It's
because
tricky.
I'm saying there has to be some type of agreement.
Because
Between
you don't want me to know about that deal.
Right.
See, that's the problem, is you don't want me to see that paperwork. You only want me to see the paperwork between me and you.
Right.
So
What I'm getting from you for putting you on to the house.
exactly. So you've marked me up.
Right.
You know, he's not going to get the money he should have, because he should just been able to come to me directly. And if you was the licensed real estate agent, you just earn a 6% commission.
Right.
You know, and that's the proper game right there. That's the proper way to go. You know, I can broker deals and just earn a fee. There's your profit in the wholesale deal didn't go to the original owner.
Right.
It went to you.
Gotcha. See, and there are individuals on Instagram who have done this to a level where they are multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And they make it seem like it's seamless.
Right.
And it's
But
glamorous.
But here's the thing is, I don't know how often they've done it. They just want to sell you the fact that they've got a course on it.
Right.
They just want you to pay them the $59 or the $99
Right.
for the course, so you get their packet that
Right.
they paid $1 for.
Right.
and try to educate you on
Right.
that game.
You know, and I know I'm gonna say this. Over the past couple of days, I've noticed the more scrolling that I've done on Instagram, just looking at normal stuff that I would, motivational quotes is different things, some funny stuff. It's almost draining to see so many different people taking so many different avenues to reach a certain goal. And most of the time it is kind of based on monetary return, right? So I see all these different people, hey, do this. Did you know you could do this? Did you know there's unclaimed property? And you could charge somebody a finder's fee because they didn't know that the state owed them X amount of dollars, right?
Right.
And you can search, there's a public list where you can search for, you know, Christiansburg, Virginia, and people's unclaimed property they didn't know they had. Hey, Mr. Bunn, did you know you had 3,000 in unclaimed whatever? I'd like to be able to get that to you. I just need, you know. And it's almost draining because you're like, are people picking one of these and following it? So I kind of want to just shut it off, because it makes me feel, even though I know I'm on my grind, it makes me feel like I'm not moving as much. But I think that's the hamster wheel behind it, to make people feel like they're always needing to reach the next step, the next hustle, the next thing. Like, you know, so even in investing right now, a lot of people are at standstill because they don't know if these NFTs are going to blow. They don't know if this whole digital art, these space monkeys, like all these things. And you want to jump on everything that you see. Yeah. Even what recently happened with the airlines, where two of the airlines merged, and you're getting double the company share for buying stock.
Right.
So I've been looking into that too. And all these things are presented, and you don't really know which way to actually go. Yeah. And it's almost overwhelming to me. I don't know how you guys handle social media, and I think that I used to handle it fine. I try to use it as a platform to get my name out there, to share stuff with people, make people laugh. That's all I really care about. Yep. I don't care about stunting. I don't care about none of that kind of stuff, because I feel like that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I shop at Walmart. If you don't know, if you're a big dude, Walmart has some nice stuff for big dudes, man, and it's gonna fit.
Yeah.
Like I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you don't have to. I think the older that we get, certain stuff is not gonna feel right to us anymore. You know?
Yeah.
So I know people that have taken breaks from social media and stuff like that and just kind of shut it off, but I know I need it for a platform.
Yeah.
But seeing people take so many different approaches to a hustle, to something that they're doing. They got a whole section on DIY, do it yourself stuff.
Yep.
And then it makes you feel like, man, I don't know how to hang sheetrock. What, should I learn how to hang sheetrock as a man? Yeah. Should I know how to hang sheetrock? Yeah. Like I can do a lot of stuff,
right?
Like I can fix a lot of stuff, but I don't know how to hang sheetrock. So it makes you feel like, oh, do I need to learn how to do that? Is that a valuable skill? I'm sure it is.
Right.
But like, where am I going to fit that in at? And if I do, I need to be really adamant about it and consistent. Another thing was talking about taking certain courses and networking and doing certain things. All those things are great.
Yeah.
But I think that people are on there getting people to spin their wheels a lot instead of just focusing on one particular thing, right? Because the more views they get, the more people they get to sign up, that's helping them.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you for the last decade, probably more.
Yeah.
I've lived my life out through social media.
Right.
And it's getting to the point where I'm out in the crowd or at the bar or walking into Kohl's yesterday, and people are like, yo, what's up, Scott?
Hey.
It's like, why? It's the wildest thing. It's like they talk to me like they know me.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
but
it is.
That is the footprint that you've established here.
Yeah.
Because.
And that's what I need. That's the community needs to know who I am. They need to make a decision on who I am.
Right.
If I'm going to be somebody that they can turn to and trust in their housing needs or, just like whatever I'm trying to push, whatever I'm, like there's a hot topic on the floor of the House of Virginia and about Marie March is about to write a law or something like that. Like our lawmakers are doing something, and this is a platform that people are paying attention to, and I can talk about, and it can get influence into how people are thinking.
Now, does she own a business?
She owns Fatback Soul Shack.
Okay. I think we touched on that before.
Yep.
Now, what type of law is she trying to write?
Well, she's just a lawmaker. So, whatever she's carrying, I'd have to go back and look at that last podcast I had with her. She's got a lot. The Tim Tebow bill, where the private school kids can go play public athletics.
Okay.
And they get some of the funds that would go to the private sector. The public school kind of gets some of the funds.
Hey, I think that's a good. We talked about that last time with redistricting, gerrymandering, and how they kind of do that.
Yeah.
And that would really set up people for success because they don't have those same.
The private kids suffer socially for the proper education, according to the parent. The parent would have more control over what the actual consumption is of what their kid gets every day, but they don't have that social interaction.
Right.
So that's what I think that was the one thing that stuck out in my mind that she's holding is that bill. But she's working on a ton of stuff. I mean, they're trying to get constitutional carry. They're trying to privatize ABC. For Virginia to be the controller of alcohol in this state is wild, in my opinion.
Okay. Kind of like a monopoly.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean not kind of, but
it is. Yeah. I mean, Virginia owns 50% of all alcohol sales in the state. They tax alcohol at 51%.
Wow.
Yeah.
My buddy Stuart's on here, and what's up, Stuart? He's probably one of the most sound financial guys that I know. I'd love to have him on here one day to talk about what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I think it's private equity.
Nice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart. He just put something on here, but he's an amazing guy. Definitely got to have him on here.
Definitely.
Now, this lady that owns the Fatback Soul Shack, was this the same situation in which she caught a little bit of flack for her representation during the...
She was in D.C. on this.
When all that stuff kind of happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to make sure that I had the right The right story.
Yeah.
Right. Now, being that there's a lot of different sides in this area. Yeah. How do you think that I think it, for one, gained her a lot of support, and two, on the other side, it did not. How do you feel about that?
Well, she's a polarizing figure. She's a very polarizing figure, but that's what you need to be to make any impact. You know, you, like I said, you cannot have people be indifferent about you. You have to go out there and put yourself out there in a way that will go deep with the people that love you,
right,
and get hate, unfortunately, from the people that don't. You know,
right.
And that's what a politician does in general.
Right.
But, you know, she's been shaking it up for a while, though.
Right. Now, they didn't drive up there. I heard they stopped at Sheetz and bought like $1,000 worth of hot dogs.
I don't know about that.
And they were like passing out hot dogs.
Maybe.
So, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people say crazy stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I just feel like, you know, we talked about that a little bit too on the last show about, and me and you have two completely different views on it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want people to understand.
That last clip we put out, when were you talking about the Trump train?
Right.
Where Bush didn't have a Trump train, or Bush didn't have a train, Clinton didn't have a train.
Right.
But I feel like my rebuttal to that, now that I've seen that and I can think about that a little bit deeper, is that is because he is that polarizing figure, and those other people, no one cared. No one cared. No one cared. They actually got into the, man, he's like stepping up and making an impact for the people. He's not a swamp creature. He's not one of these establishment type people. And that's the people I gravitate toward too. It doesn't matter if it's red or blue, bro, for me. Right. It's will you stand up to the authority? Will you stand up to the establishment in this culture?
Right. But people got to understand too, Trump can do a lot of things that you cannot do. Yeah. Right. So Trump can go out here and pull his pants down, spank his ass red if he wants to in the middle of the street. You do it. You see what I'm saying? So I think he wanted.
Give me 15 more years.
Hey, I think he wanted people to feel empowered, and they did, right? But I think in a sense, you said people like disinterested. I could see that a little bit. I probably just made that word up, and it's okay. But you know, less interested in that particular presidential candidate at the time. I was more tuning that towards what did it incite some people to do, right? Because you felt, hey, when Obama got elected, and people might get mad at me for this, when you looked out into the crowd, there was so much diversity and people crying and people, you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
and
that was a monumental
moment, right?
Definitely.
Do you know what happened when I was overseas?
You told me that.
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, people were slamming their trays down.
Oh, bruh. High-ranking officials got up from their tray, left their food, pissed off some of the stuff that they said.
Yeah.
So when people ask me about how people can kind of feel and show their colors, I've seen both sides. I've seen support, and I've seen a lot of people do very ugly things. But I think that what I meant by that was I've never seen people feel like Trump was going to pardon them personally. Like, you can get out here and cut a fool if you want to. Somebody's going to, I'll be your Huckleberry, right? Somebody's going to call your bluff. And I think that people have to understand that as well. Like, I'm all for the businessman and everything that he represents, right? But I think what I was getting at is I had never seen even really intelligent people that were kind of, it's almost like people were waiting for a figure or somebody to activate them. They felt some type of way about him being in the position he was in to freaking show their ass. And I just don't, I've asked a lot of people, I still don't fully understand what about him makes someone act like that.
It's on both sides, though. If you look at it,
you know what I'm saying? What about him?
That's wild too, though. So it just stirred the pot,
big, like,
and it exposed. It really just, his presence exposed a lot of things. It exposed.
It shows we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
because people are like, oh, this is not an issue. this is not an issue. Well, yes, it is, because it got exposed by somebody merely being in a position that they're in, right? Because all it took to activate good and bad on both sides was one person.
But look at our culture right now. You know, look at Joe Rogan. Look at what's going on with him.
Right.
You know, and like I think a figurehead, you know, just wipe the name off in the face and just remember the policy and like the things that he stood for in office, not prior to office, not post to office, not like, but what he was doing prior to COVID. I mean, prior to COVID, I felt energy of coming togetherness. You know, we were fighting in-house.
Right.
I think we even touched on this last time. We were fighting in-house, but we were dominating the world. You know, we were on our own. We were, you know, challenging China and challenging Russia and, you know,
preventing the invasion, right?
Yeah, exactly. The southern border, the
invasion.
The southern border wasn't being invaded.
It wasn't being invaded.
You know?
Like Scott said, it's an invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know,
a million people a month or some crazy stuff like that.
You know, and I like the fact that you can say how you feel and we can laugh about it, we can joke about it, you know, and I can have a completely different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I want to hear what your take is on that man and what's come out and his relationships with all the black people that he has relationships with and their defense of him, and like pretty much everybody but the global, you know, the news companies that are coming after him because he has too much influence. Like, how do you feel about that whole situation? In my opinion, they're just coming after him on one side because he's messing with them on another side.
I feel like it's another dynamis situation. It's the people that are around him. He's got a lot of pull, and I don't know all the hands that he has, all the pockets he has a hand in, right? Because yes, his podcast is huge.
I mean, he's an inspiration for me.
Right, Joe
every day.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very, what'd you call it, a polarizing figure.
Yeah.
I think when they did the mashup, when they took all of those clips and put them together, me personally, I had not seen those clips before then.
Yeah.
I don't watch his show like that much. I watched the episode where he was talking to Mike Tyson. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that,
I mean, he's open for Dave Chappelle. I mean,
right.
You know, Dave Chappelle's not going to be messing around with, you know, a racist guy, I don't think.
Well, we don't necessarily know what happens behind closed doors. I'm going to tell you this. In America, anytime there's been a prominent African-American figure that is going to inflict serious change, what's happened to them?
Tell me.
They're done. They're offed, right? I could name a list. Huey P. Newton, right? Had a PhD, leader of the Panthers, right? What happened to him?
Tell me.
Executed in his home, right? So anytime that you have a prominent black person, male, female, man, woman, sorry, in a position of power, and people see that they can make change, if they're not rubbing elbows with people behind closed doors, if they're like really militant about what they believe, we've seen what happened to them. So the Chappelles, the people that hang out with Joe Rogan, all that kind of stuff that'll be in defense of him.
I mean, David Goggins.
You know, all these guys, hey, they got to rub elbows with people too. Let David Goggins come out, and I like his motivational stuff, right? You know,
David Goggins put out on Instagram copy that was 5 paragraphs about his relationship with Joe, and
right.
There's, you know,
you got a lot of people that are going to run to the defense, but if Goggins, and people love to see that, right? People love to see, oh well, Joe Rogan's not a racist because he had 7 prominent black men come out and say that they F with him the long way.
Right.
So he clearly can't be racist because Chappelle said, I like to eat steak with Joe Rogan on Tuesdays. And David Goggins, look how strong he is. Look at his story, right? He supports him. So clearly, and that's what happens. Anytime that there's something that happens, let's go grab the most prominent black faces we know to be in support of us, because who trumps them, right? There's a video that shows like elected officials saying, hey, we don't mind if every 1 in 500 African Americans make it to a certain level of a state of what's the word I'm looking for? Success, because the rest of them will not. So why do we care that there's the Shaquille O'Neals, the Magic Johnsons, the people that can step in, the David Goggins, the Chappelles, the different people that can step into Joe Rogan's defense, when we know that there's so many more people that if they even came out and spoke about it, they would be considered complaining or get over it, or it's not an issue, right? Just like some of the Democrats, when they poll hard in these poverty-stricken areas during their political campaigns, they hardly ever go back, right? But we need the black vote, because the black vote is strong. And when people recognize that, they started appealing to it, right?
Yeah.
Because look how hard we had to fight just to get that, right? So now when people recognize that the black vote is a detriment, could be a detriment to you, oh, they in there hard, shooting basketball with the kids, playing tag, drinking Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it. I've seen it. So anytime
So in Joe's case, when he's got all these people coming to defend him,
yeah,
what's that mean to you?
They're dancing. They might. It's a minstrel show.
Oh, so you don't think
they might as well have big red lips, just like the cartoons back in the day when they used to draw young black kids with big red lips.
Interesting.
And eating watermelon and dancing on the stage and stuff like that. Come on, man. Any other time that would happen? You think that Rogan didn't send out a bat signal to these folks? Hey, bruh.
Help me out.
Help me out. Y'all see what's happening to me? And you think that the position that they're in, the conglomerate that they have, and the different elbows that they rub with each other to be, you think that Chappelle can get on stage and say the stuff he says without somebody giving him a pass?
I mean, he didn't get no pass from the transgender.
Of course
community.
not. Guess what? Because they over trump anything. That community.
But he didn't backtrack though.
He didn't. He did not backtrack. But I'm telling you, in order to get up in America and to say the things that you want to say and go untouched, you got to have clearance for that, buddy.
Well, you're not ever going to be untouched.
I mean, physically. I mean, like that's what I'm going back to. Anytime that you've had it's all a game to me. When you get Chappelle up there, I mean, yeah, he's great. But when he booked the show, how many routines or how many practices did he go through where somebody knew what he was going to say before the first show aired?
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's not a secret.
He's worked those bits out.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
In the clubs.
So I'm not shocked and awed when he comes out and says stuff, because the people that are paying him don't look like him. Yeah. You think that they don't know what he's going to say? They give him a pass. They give certain people passes, because if you come out and you're very militant and you're saying things that really ruffle people's feathers, they're going to get you out of here. So, of course, Rogan's going to put up the bat signal. Hey, buddy, y'all need to come to my defense, right? And it only takes 7 black men to verify Joe Rogan for other people in America to be like, see, I told you, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
There's 7 black guys that like him. What? 7 out of the masses, right?
Yeah.
You got to think, but he didn't get me and AJ. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I'm just using that as an example. Yeah. He got people that he knows has some skin in the game.
Yeah.
He's got people that are very controversial.
But the thing about it is they support each other. And, you know, like that would be like me and you. That'd be like us having our relationship and somebody putting together clips of this show and in a way that was out of context.
Right.
And then you come into my aid. That's kind of the same thing I feel. And I don't think I would, if you thought it was wrong, I don't think I'd ever have to come to you and be like, hey man, like, why don't you publicly help me out here? I think you would just do that, you know?
It would be on a man-to-man basis how I feel about the situation, right? I think Rogan, I think that I don't know him. I think he's talented, but
I love what he's accomplished.
yeah, I mean,
he got $100 million contract.
Right.
For his podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have that. But anybody that reaches that level of success, there's an invincibility that I think that they feel. And of course, like I said, and I'll say this again, I don't care who gets mad. He ran to the most prominent, controversial figures that he could that do not look like him to support him, right? If anybody gets on stage and talks about differences in America and race, Chappelle said it. Black issues in the black community get trumped by the you know what I'm saying?
LGBTQ, yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely trumped.
They've done a better job. They've done a better job of getting their agenda through.
You know, so I mean, it's just what it is, right? Yeah. So whenever a person that looks like me says something and other people feel like it's not a problem, now I'm complaining. Even though I'm talking about a real issue, I'm complaining. So Rogan gets no sympathy from me. Look at NDRE. She came out and even somebody spoke to her because she was coming out very strong at first, but then she said, I think his apology is sufficient for me. Now, that's okay if she really feels that way. But what I'm saying is I've seen it happen a million times. Somebody does something. Hey, go get O.J. Simpson. He'll speak for me. We played ball together. You know what I'm saying? Ask Michael Jordan about me. But that's what I said. As long as they're going with the flow, you can come to my dinner table. But do you think if Chappelle called Rogan out several times on his BS that he'd be running to him? They're all controlled by the same thing. Like Beyonce came out at a halftime at a Super Bowl, very militant, very black. And people are like, oh, that's awesome that she can do that. That had to be cleared, man. It ain't like she had 50 dancers backstage and nobody knew what they were going to do.
Right.
Come on. That's a daggone, the NFL's an organization. Yeah. You think they didn't know she was going to come out there like that? With berets and pushing that, you know, like that black militant, you know, for that. No, they knew. You get a pass to do certain stuff like that if you're a certain person.
Right.
You're not going to come on there, grab the microphone, and be talking about this and that. You're going to get tackled. You know?
Yeah.
That people got to really look at this type of stuff. People do not get allowed to do certain type of stuff just because they want to.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to show skill set to get opportunity in that capacity for sure.
And who's going to tell her no, right?
Right. Because she's displayed her talent over time. I bet she had a lot of creative freedom.
Oh, I bet. But you didn't see, because a lot of people don't even associate Beyonce with being a black woman.
Yeah.
Funny, but she is.
Yeah.
So you didn't see a lot of negative comments about what she did because they didn't pay attention enough to the message she was trying to push.
Yep.
They were more looking at, oh, it's Beyonce.
Yeah. She's beautiful. She's talented.
She's beautiful. She's light-skinned. She's this, she's that. Yeah. Right? My daughter listens to her. But the more and more that you push a certain agenda, hey, I don't know if I want you to listen to that. I don't know about this. That's why I keep going back to the whole Rogan situation. That man knew he messed up. I'm not judging him. Hey, you say what you want to say, but just know that some of the things do come with consequences. And he reached out to his most influential, polarizing black men in his life. And he said, please tell them about our personal relationship.
I'm interested to know if he did that or if they just came to his aid because they knew the friend was in trouble.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Probably both. But like I said, we don't know the levels of how they get money, how they do things, how they're controlled, who they answer to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you need certain figures. You didn't see him get Questlove from the Roots.
Right.
Talib Kweli, Mos Def. He didn't get those guys.
I mean, yeah, you don't know if those are relationships that he has.
You know, I'm just saying. You know, I mean, he didn't reach out to Black Thought. He didn't reach out to
Did Kevin Hart ever come out? Did Kevin Hart come out with anything?
I'm not sure.
They've got a relationship.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know he's tight with Chappelle and David Goggins.
And that's the only reason I mentioned those guys, because Chappelle, if you remember the street block party of how much influenced the Roots and Chappelle had, and now the Roots being on
Jimmy Fallon.
Yep. There's a lot of, you know, I've been a fan of them for a long time before they ever had you know, a late night appearance.
Yeah.
But all those guys are in the same circle, I think.
Yeah.
So I may be wrong, but I honestly feel that he reached out to men that he knew had
They can co-sign for him.
Oh gosh, 100%. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, man. I love that type of topic with you, like your perspective on that stuff.
Yeah.
I am, you know, people should already know, but we're trying to develop something to spin you off, and
right.
And I want to tell them about that. I want to hear your perspective and your ideas, and I just want to speak this into the world so everybody gets prepared, everybody hears your vision, and then they can hold you accountable.
Yes.
To actually making it happen.
Yes, please do.
All right,
please do.
Let's just hear what you got. Let's hear what your ideas are.
Yeah.
Honest Hour, steak and sauce.
So I initially, when we started talking about this with Weston, we started doing some research. There's only one other podcast on YouTube that is a panel of like 8 people.
Yeah.
And they have a very successful show called Honest Hour, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with me calling my show Honest Hour. Maybe I flip the R backwards. Maybe I do something. But I don't have 2 million views like they do, right?
So you do have someone already with the name.
I do have somebody already with the name, but
should have locked that up.
3
years ago.
I had the idea 3 years ago, right? And I want to back up people. We've been at this for a long time, and sometimes it takes that amount of time to develop what we have here right now.
Yeah.
I think I'm still going to launch Honest Hour because that search alone will help me, right? Because if you go there right now, there's only one podcast.
Will there be a legal battle over the name? Will there be any infringements of their property, you know?
What if I spell it differently?
You could do that.
Right?
Yeah. It's something to talk about.
Something to talk about.
Let's hear like the premise. Like,
so the premise,
you know, like
right?
you got your boys, you got ideas.
Right.
Like, you know.
So the premise of the show, I want to do what you do a little bit. I want to interview people as well.
Yeah.
But I want to put a spin on it.
Yeah.
I want to interview people to get their stories out that a lot of people don't know, and they're funny people.
Yeah.
I want to have a show where we do product reviews on things that are funny. The 5 best fruit juices in the grocery store right now, right? Be hilarious, right? The 5 best items off a Cookout's menu.
Nice.
Right? And by the way, has anybody ever seen the kitchen in Cookout?
I haven't.
Who's making this food? Just a question.
Right.
Get back to me at a later time, right?
Right?
And they make it fast, right? I want to have my friends on to discuss sports. I want to have men on here to discuss male insecurities, because I had a show on that before, but I want to bring that back up.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard.
That.
Yeah, it's very hard to discuss that, right?
I'd be I can definitely dive into more of that today.
Right.
I mean, I understand that.
Hey, it's a real thing, right? Yeah. And also, I want to have a show where people are entertained from it, and I want to interview family. I want to incorporate a lot of different people and bring them on. There's so much talent out here, like you said,
Yep.
and you've pushed me to really reach into my talent.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people that we know that I want to help groom as well. So the basis of it, the other person that you're going to see majority of the time is Antonio.
Yeah.
As like my co-host.
Yes.
So that dynamic between me and him, I think is great. It gels very well.
It does. Y'all get wild.
We get wild. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to, the reason why I procrastinated on doing this at first is because I felt limited by what I wanted to say, the jokes I wanted to make, if they're a little bit crass, if they're a little bit, hey, if this is the goal for me, I have to get out my material.
You do.
So I'm not going to worry about that anymore.
Yep.
You know, if somebody's mad because I said the P word, inbox me, right? You know, that's all I can say. I want to be able to push the envelope a little bit, but I also want to have very intelligent conversations.
Yeah.
I want to put an intelligent spin on comedy. You know, that's been my whole thing for a long time.
Right.
Finding a different way to deliver my joke. And the more comedians I watch, what makes them stand out is the delivery.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the more creative, the way that they land that joke, the way that they do things.
Dude,
you know?
when you get pumped and you get loud,
right.
dude, it's amazing.
I mean, but for me to tap into that, it takes me to a certain place and then it just flows.
Yeah.
And I think that having the right people around
Right.
is going to help me dive into that bag.
Yeah.
And also having people on here that can give their insight into sports betting. That's a huge thing for me and my friends right now. Hey, what's your lineup look like tonight?
Right.
We do it every night, right? You know, and, you know, last night I missed a huge one by one rebound. If I would have had that parlay and that guy would have got that last rebound, $10 bet, $300 payout.
Wow.
You know, and
dude, are you seeing these first bucket parlays?
First bucket parlays are huge.
50 cents to like $100,000 or something crazy.
And, dude, there's been guys that have hit on those.
I know. I've seen that.
So,
I've seen Joey out there trying to hit one too.
Me and Joey are tight. We talk offline. So, you know, me and Joey are good. Like, that's somebody that I talk to often.
Yeah.
And so I want to have people on here to talk about that. I want to have a car guy like Weston.
Yeah.
Me and him. Maybe we'll line our cars up one day.
Yeah.
You know, import versus American muscle, you know, and we'll just do it. You know, I want to do, I have so many ideas, but the pilot show, I want people to get introduced to me and Antonio, our friendship. We've known each other since we were 7.
Yeah.
The dynamic of our friendship, some of our stories. We were supposed to go in the military together.
Right.
At the last minute.
He
bailed on me. I was mad. I was hurt. You know, I had to go through that experience by myself. I want that pilot show just to be an introduction into some of the topics and things that we want to talk about. The next show, I'd like to have one additional guy on that knows a lot about sports, and let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Then start diving into product reviews, family interviews, going out here. And, you know, I want to challenge people to random stuff out here in the NRV.
Right.
You know, hey, if you know all the words to this song that I'm going to play, you get $5. You know what I'm saying? And like challenge people to see if, you know, and just do different stuff to bring entertainment, to really show my creative side, because I want, my goal is to have a show to where we are sponsored, to where I can write skits, to where I can, you know, do different things. That's my goal. Yeah. It always has been.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of that. I'm excited to have been pushing you in this direction.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to do this for multiple people. I think there's tons of talent here.
I want to talk to the other guy too.
Yeah.
What's his name? That was talking about Reggie, the collapse of the U.S. dollar. He's very intelligent and he's funny.
Yep. I mean, I've got hey, look at the lineup, bro. I'm trying to get Dennis Haley in here.
Okay.
Because he's repping and managing collegiate athletes.
Right.
He's got Cole Beck. He's going to be an Olympian. You
right.
know, like that guy's lightning fast.
Right.
I've got Marie March.
Right.
I've got Reggie. I got you. I've got some other things in the works. I've got this very spiritual guy named Q.
Okay.
And he's wild, bro. Like, and all that NFT stuff that you were talking about, and like what we can develop and the layers that it has, and it's just I've got a talent pool that I think is I mean, it's got so much potential.
Right.
You know, and me and Weston, and we got to find our groove and we got to talk about the legal side. We got to talk about the money side. We got to talk about all kinds of things that we haven't had time to even have a conversation about.
Right.
We're just trying to get in the flow and get everybody in here. Oh, the Floyd Beacon. I got the Floyd Beacon people, you know, so I'm developing a relationship with newspaper.
Right.
I just wrote my first little blurb.
Really?
For their paper.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. So
it's big stuff.
Yeah. So
Spotify.
Dude. Yep. Our first opportunity to upload videos to Spotify.
Pick that up right now. And I really appreciate you guys having me on the platform and having me be a part of this ascend, you know, of to where we're going. And Reggie, I think me and him could bounce a lot of stuff off each other.
I think you could too.
And I think it would be an awesome show.
Yep.
Like Robin Big. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the dynamic, I've never met him, but I watch him. And the way that the knowledge he has and some of the things that interest him, I look at the same stuff. So I think we could really.
And his perspective is very interesting.
Right.
And it's coming from somebody. See, you know, I can say something, but when someone like you says some of the same stuff that I do,
right,
I think naturally we gravitate.
Right.
We gravitate.
Right.
You know? So I would love a cross promotion, like, you know, like some of the guests that I've had on come on your show, and like you come on his show, and we just like, because I'm like Marie's, I'm gonna do a show with Marie, show with him.
I'd like to talk to her.
Yeah,
I really would.
I would,
because
you have questions.
I have questions, and I'd rather not hear it from someone else. I'd rather say, ma'am, can you explain to me what was happening during that time? And I want to hear it, you know, because we may be able to really like uncover some layers,
hash some things out
there, you know, and coming from some people that are respected in the area, you know. So I feel like that's amazing. Now, if there is an issue, everybody, with naming, with something like that, with my podcast, I do have an alternate, and I'm working on, you know, getting some of that fixed, you know. So I'll just talk to you guys and see.
And see, the thing about it is it's like we need to know how to protect our property.
Right.
And our property is our name.
Right.
Our property is our ideas.
Right.
And that's a big deal. So like you trying to run up against someone that's already developed, and that's the thing too, bro. It's just execution.
Right.
You had the idea. You probably could have gotten it and blocked them from that. They just beat you to the punch.
So it may be SNS, and I like SNS. You know, it's short. I mean, it'll be impactful. I haven't seen it anywhere else, and you know, that's something that we can figure out. But Honest Hour was just catchy.
It was,
and I wanted to have that hour block where if I'm interviewing you, you need to be honest about what I'm asking, right? You know, so that was kind of my thought process.
You can always be like, hey, well now, like, I mean, I was trying to flip that into some other like segment of your show.
Like, hey, this is SNS podcast. But
we're gonna have an honest hour.
We're gonna have an honest hour. And just spring it on people.
And so that could be like the serious side of your show.
Right.
Like, and then you could just be with Antonio, and that could just be a cut up show. Right. You know? But now we need to gear into honest hour. You know, like you could cut up for 20 minutes, and then you could be like, oh, well, now it's time for honest hour.
It's time for honest hour. And that's just a segment within the show.
Exactly.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Let's run SNS.
I'm an idea guy.
Hey, let's run SNS, and let's have a segment in there. And honest hour can be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's just that's the segment. So I like that. That's what we'll do. Yep.
All right, man. Hey, we're just wrapping up, man. That's a good spot.
We're good.
Hey, I appreciate you. Episode 24, Derek Nowlin. I'm Scott Bunn. Hey, I need YouTube subscribers. We got to get to 1,000. Hey, look, I need my buddies at New River Engraving to go ahead and print the 100,000 bottle and the 500,000 bottle.
We're trying to crack it.
We're just gonna anticipate it, and we're gonna display it.
Yes, sir.
Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Actually, we're on Spotify now too.
We're on Spotify.
So like video podcast is now on Spotify. You know, and with YouTube trying to take down, you know, and censor stuff, I hope Spotify will be a great backup for if anybody does decide that we've provided medical misinformation or like whatever we're doing to violate community standards. Like, hopefully we'll be able to house over on Spotify with no censorship. So you can find us wherever you prefer, but we do want those 1,000 subscribers immediately on YouTube.
Immediately now.
So run over there, and we appreciate you watching.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next time, guys.